Hey guys, this video isn't going to be so much educational as it's going to be observational. And that observation is, I know that you love silver-haired characters. It's okay, you don't have to hide it. One of your favorite fictional characters, guaranteed, is silver or white-haired. It's okay, we all know it. We know that you really want to write a story about silver-haired characters too. And if you don't, well, you're just lying to yourself. And that's okay too. But in all seriousness, contemporary fiction, and even a bit beyond, has used a plethora of silver-haired characters and white-haired characters, and they've used them in very specific fashions. The human alien. Now, what do I mean by that? A human alien is a character who still is technically human, or at least human presenting, but is also meant to be perceived by the audience as something distinctly greater and more powerful. Just to be clear though, this is not a hard and fast writing rule. Are there human aliens without silver hair? Of course. Are there silver-haired characters who are not divinely exceptional beings? Of course. There is no writing rule or trend that is 100% concrete. But silver-haired characters overall are meant to have a special spot in the narrative and be elevated above the rest of the characters. And the more you know about the execution of human aliens and the silver hair that they are coupled with as characters, the better you can write one yourself. Because I know you want to. First though, to understand how to actually write these silver-haired characters, we have to understand their origins in fiction in the first place. Silver-white hair coloration has a long-standing association with purity and wisdom, even like outside of storytelling. And purity and wisdom have a long-standing association with the divine. And the divine has a long-standing association with power and natural authority. Because of this, silver-white hair also allows for the perfect execution of the human alien trope. Silver-white hair is close enough to natural blonde tones to still be considered familiar and safe, human, while also being extraordinary enough to have its bearer be recognized as supremely special, rare, and elevated, alien. These concepts are reflected by what ultimately probably played the biggest role in establishing these paradigms in the first place, Tolkien. His elves can be viewed as a proto-version of the human alien. They are like men, sharing the same physical characteristics, but meant to be distinctly different. Without getting too far into it, Tolkien's elves were meant to depict a literal oneness with nature and spiritualism. They were as alien as you can get without literally being from another planet. And the elves, while not silver-haired, yet, were described as blonde in The Hobbit, released in 1937, and in The Silmarillion, released in 1977. I don't mean this as hyperbole, but almost every race of silver-white-haired magical beings in an even mildly fantasy setting is an homage to Tolkien's elves. Valyrians? They're elves. Osatsuki clan in Naruto? Homage to elves. Atlanteans? Homage to elves. And sometimes the homage just becomes a one-to-one representation like the actual elves in Hellboy. And speaking of Hellboy elves, this is a great time to talk about how all this started in the first place. The elves of Hellboy were based on the Denyashi, the fairies of the Irish Celtic culture, which I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of. This is most likely because, according to scholar Dimitra Fimi, Tolkien's elves are also highly influenced by Celtic fairies that appear in the Tuath Danann. Elves generally were meant to represent a mystical, natural power that was semi-divine in nature. However, Tolkien wanted to steer very clear of traditional storybook elves who were both tiny, unserious, and had wings. Tolkien wanted his elves to stand side by side with humans in order to compare and contrast the two races, yet also make the elves exceptional and magical when compared to mankind. And so Tolkien made the elves basically humans with pointy ears and blonde hair, and also inadvertently created the prototype for the alien human archetype. Again, elves obviously weren't human, but they were close enough to basically be looked at as if they were. And the origins run even deeper, especially when considering hair color. The elves' white and silver hair is largely a nod to their supernatural, almost godlike position. See, Tolkien was a vocal Christian, and Christianity, like many religions, used the color white as a symbol for purity and wisdom. The Bible actually specifically mentions Jesus having white hair in his divine form. And so this is why white coloration has significance in Lord of the Rings, specifically for characters like Gandalf. He is a Jesus-analogous figure, coming back from the dead, more powerful and divine than before, clothed in white fabric and streaming with white hair. And as you could have guessed, the elves, being seen as naturally divine entities who could commune with nature and achieve basically immortality, were also eventually depicted with silver white hair. Now, again, just to be clear, this is not to say that every elf had silver or white hair. They didn't. Nor is it to say that elves were created with the concept of human aliens in mind. This is simply meant to lay down the groundwork for how the silver hair trope came to be and the widespread reach it has attained. Not every fiction that takes inspiration from Tolkien's elves are as on the nose as Hellboy's elves, but all of them do share various qualities, the most important of which being that some kind of exceptionalism is coupled with the silver white hair. If we want to talk about silver white-haired races as a whole, we can look back to either the Valyrians or the Atlanteans. Remember, the silver hair is merely a signifier of the actual trope of human aliens, so let's see how that's done. Really, it's simple. Silver-haired human alien races are almost always depicted as having some ability or divine inclination that's inherently part of their culture. The Valyrians in Game of Thrones could use blood magic, see into the future, and commune with dragons. The Atlanteans created sentient machines, used crystal magic, and basically could live forever. The reason these abilities, oftentimes magical, are tied to the culture of the people instead of just being science-based is so that the very culture itself becomes mystical and elevated. Both Valyrian and Atlanteans are great examples of silver-haired human aliens because they each deal with the regular social and interpersonal problems like humans do, but also exist within a culture that makes them inarguably extraordinary. They are relatable, understandable, yet distinctly different. Both human and alien. Again though, there are exceptions and deviations for everything. The Ishvalans from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood are a silver-haired race, but they do not follow the trope of human aliens at all. In fact, Ishvalans were opposite, seen as more primitive and lesser than the Amestrians. This is a great reminder to people that writing is anything you make of it. Do whatever you want with your silver-haired characters. I'm just here to show you the traditions so that you can adhere to or subvert them as you wish. Now, if we want to talk more about individualized silver-haired characters, we can stick with Valyrians and Atlanteans, though focus on Daenerys and Kida specifically. They represent the overall category of singular human aliens very well. Like Tolkien's elves, Daenerys and Kida are just plain beautiful. In fact, they are nearly physically perfect. Silver-haired characters are often depicted as attractive and alluring to signal their heightened status. Tolkien had a large belief that inner beauty and ethics became outwardly physically reflected, and that mindset is still pervasive and subverted to this day in storytelling. But as for Dany and Kida, each of these silver-haired women are not only part of the extraordinary group, even within their culture, they are special. Daenerys, of course, has 3 dragons, something that no Valyrian has ever done before. Kida could directly commune with the gods of Atlantis, making her a prophetic figure. These individualized traits are very important in being able to distinguish these characters' significance from the other naturally extraordinary people of their culture. Furthermore, both these women are princesses who eventually become rulers. This links strongly with their silver hair human alien trope because it establishes a divine right to authority. Remember, silver white hair in storytelling has always been linked to divinity, and the divine is self-evident in its need to have a position of power over others. Silver-haired characters, most often women, are narratively linked to some position of leadership, and many times this link is because of the divine or magical. White-haired Yue is the princess of the Northern Water Tribe and has a unique connection with the moon spirit. White-haired Edelgard is the princess of the Adrestian Empire and has the crest of the dragon goddess Seros. White-haired Ciri from The Witcher is the princess of Cintra and has elder blood that grants her divine magic. All in all, some of the most important, basic characteristics of silver-haired human aliens is that they are extraordinary, naturally linked or drawn to positions of leadership, and in many cases, divinely gifted. Still, an alternative route to silver-haired human aliens being in positions of leadership, they often act as mentors that lead younger, less experienced fighters. These mentors are often men who guide trainees who have their own unique powers. Examples of this are Geralt of Rivia, a deadly witcher of the Wolf School who leads Ciri. There is Satoru Gojo, the space-time manipulating sorcerer that leads Yuji Itadori, and Stein from Soul Eater, master of life and death, who trains Maka Albarn. And maybe most famously, there is Kakashi with his Sharingan and Jiraiya with his Rasengan and Tojutsu, who lead Naruto. In the case of the silver, white-haired mentor dynamic, the trainee is always searching for how to control their own unique power, while the silver-haired mentor has already fulfilled their power journey by use of their extraordinary, unique ability. On the other side, though, are the silver, white-haired prodigies. These are usually young boys who display incredible potential at a young age, embodying maturity past their years and utilize extraordinary abilities that are still being honed. Famous examples of this sub-archetype of the human alien are Toshiro Hitsugaya, the youngest captain ever in Bleach, Killua Zoldyck, the heir to the Zoldyck assassination family, and, not a fan favorite, but Nier, successor to Light and possibly the smartest person in the Death Note universe. The silver-haired prodigy is meant to show that these human aliens are so exceptional that even before they reach proper maturity and power, they stand head and shoulders above their fellow man. Since we brought up Killua though, we can actually take a look at how he's an example of the silver hair special bloodline trope. Oftentimes, characters who belong to exceptional families will have silver or white hair. This is the case of the Otsutsuki and Hozuki clan from Naruto and Dante's family from Devil May Cry. In Killua's case, he double dips into the human alien archetype. Not only is he from the Zoldyck family, who are already extraordinary, he bears the white hair of his father and grandfather, all of whom are the most powerful fighters among the Zoldyggs and the leaders. The special bloodline silver hair trope is meant to find a middle ground between the large cultural human alien exceptionalism and the individual human alien exceptionalism. The power and divine authority still runs in the blood of these characters, but only because their immediate familial heritage. Still, if you're looking to write a power fantasy where an average or mundane character becomes really cool and powerful, silver white hair is right up your alley. As discussed before, white hair is associated with unreachable divinity and raw power. In many instances, to showcase the overwhelming raw power that a character has achieved, they will be crowned with silver white hair during their transformation. There are actually way too many examples of this for me to list, but occurrences of this include Grimmjow's hair turning white during his release state, Rukia's hair turning white during her Bankai, Gohan's hair turning white during his beast transformation, Luffy's hair turning white during Gear 5, Madara's hair turning white during him absorbing the Ten Tails, Shigaraki's hair turning white because of All for One, Storm's hair turning white after being augmented by Apocalypse, and Lysithia's hair turning white after being experimented on to vastly increase her powers. These characters are all human aliens in their own right because of their exceptional abilities, but the silver white hair allows them to physically reflect their transformation from a lesser character to a more significant character. It's a small writing tool, but one that's been effectively used for decades. Conversely though, we also have human alien characters that have silver white hair because of sickness or strength. I know this one seems a bit weird, but it's actually a rather common trope. The white hair here is supposed to reflect the burden the character is saddled with and the skill that they have to push through it. Famous examples of this are Kaede from Kakeguri, the only male council member and the smartest student, whose hair bleaches white from stress. There's also Captain Ukitake, child prodigy and former student of the most powerful being in the Soul Society, and whose hair turned white because of a divine sickness that he has. And of course, maybe the most famous is Kimimaro, Orochimaru's most dangerous acolyte, who was only defeated because his sickness progressed too far. In many cases, silver-haired characters with sickness are meant to be seen as stoic, stalwart fighters who press through their hardships while still achieving excellence despite everything they go through. They are kind of like the definition of human excellence. Another famous and very common silver white hair human alien trope is the hybrid. These are exceptional and powerful characters who straddle the line between two different groups. Famous examples of these are Inuyasha, half yokai, half human, Dante, half demon, half human, and Danny Phantom, half ghost, half human. You could probably even throw Shoto Todoroki in here too, seeing that accepting both sides of his bloodline is like a huge part of his character journey. Silver hair is given to hybrids to, again, give a physical marker for their exceptional, unique position. They look just like you and me on an outward level, but that belies the remarkable nature of their inner, hidden qualities. In an interesting twist on the human-alien trope, some silver-haired characters aren't that much more exceptionally skilled or divinely authoritative than their narrative counterparts. In this case, the silver-white hair is meant to make the character alluring and mysterious, ultimately leading to the revelation of some major secret that they had, which explains their enigmatic behavior throughout the narrative. Famous examples of this are Mirage from The Incredibles, revealed to be working for a supervillain, Gin Ichimaru, revealed to have a century-long plan to defeat the villain, and most recently, Asterion from Baldur's Gate 3, whose big secret I will not reveal, but you might have guessed it already if you played the game. These silver, white-haired characters play much more on the alien part of human-alien. They are almost always kept at a distance from the audience so that they seem more unknown and different from others. These characters often appear as the most suspicious, but also the most interesting for viewers of the fiction. Still, there is what I consider to be another group, and this is the most straightforward and simple usage of silver white-haired characters. And that's just to make a cool character just like a bit cooler with some cool hair. If you want a character to look as outwardly intimidating and special as their skills allow them to be otherwise, make their hair white. Examples of this rule of cool character creation is Black Cat from Spider-Man, Gabimaru from Hell's Paradise, and even the most recent version of Slade Wilson from My Adventures with Superman. To be clear, all these characters would still be considered human aliens because of their insane skills, but the white hair just adds a little bit more of that wow factor to their design. And honestly, I could probably go on and on with this video because I haven't even touched on the villain-centric tropes yet. Dabi, Shogo, Scar, and Sephiroth all have interesting and varied interplay with the human-alien archetype when it comes to their hair. I could talk about how archetypes often overlap, like how Satoru Gojo and Jiraiya are both prodigies and mentors, or how Shoto Todoroki is a hybrid and a prodigy. I could talk about how even though I mentioned over 40 silver-haired characters from decades worth of fiction, I probably missed your favorite ones like Merrick Ishtar, Draco Malfoy, Kirari Momobami, Ginormica, or Tengen Yuzui. At the end of the day, this video wasn't meant to be like a completely exhaustive list of every silver white-haired character in fiction, but it was meant to be a breakdown of the patterns your favorite ones follow, so that just in case you wanted to write one on your own, you would have the general knowledge and know-how. There's something really special about light-haired characters that's just really awesome. Heck, I made one of my own in the book I'm writing right now. Now hopefully, you can see what it takes to be able to write the silver-haired characters that you love, and see that it's not just you that loves them, but writers from all across the world. Anyway, thanks for watching all the way until the end. If you like what you heard, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you really want to be a homie, check out my Patreon, or check out my website for my editing services and fantasy books. As always, it was a pleasure, and I will talk to you all again soon.